On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, Sam is digging into the lore.
And Dean gets his ass kicked by a shroud muncher. Let's do this. Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Liz.
And we're going to talk season 11, episode 4, Baby.
Oh, baby. Mm-hmm. Sure are.
Yeah. Well, we're coming out of the 4th of July holiday here. So with that, I think it's not a secret that we're here in Texas, and we've been a lot of news about that lately. So without just saying, what have you been up to? What have you been up to?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I'm in the hill country. I'm in the area. I'm very close to, like, the main thing that happened in Kerrville, which is, we all know, just a horrible tragedy. And flash flooding here is, it's Texas. Texas will try and kill you, I guess. But not to be flip about it. It's just, I don't know. We all have flood PTSDs. Flood happened here, and they suck. And so I think we're all just kind of in shock. And it's one of those things, like, you just, it's like you prepare for disasters, but, kind of just like woke up to, like, fell asleep to a lot of rain, and then like woke up to a what the fuck. And my neighborhood, like, where I'm on like a top of things, so I can just kind of look out and see things. So I can at least get in and out of my neighborhood. But yeah, it was a scary weekend, but.
For sure,
and we made it through, and people are really pitching in to help. There's a Kerrville Relief Fund. You can just honestly just go type in Kerrville Relief and if you go to the, I hate to use these words, and I can't get there, and I was really annoyed with it. Like, their main things are being coordinated on the City of Kerrville's Facebook page. So if you can get there, that is where, but a lot of the updates are going. So, but there's a lot of people coming out to help in the hill country. So, I mean, and so it's what we do. We'll help each other get through it, and it's sad, and so that's what's going on in Texas.
Yeah, and I think it's like the way you said it reminds me. It's like that. There's a Mr. Rogers quote about, like, whenever you see bad things happening, look for the helpers, as a reminder that there's people trying to help, even though terrible things have happened. Yeah,
and also just the search and rescue people during this have been doing some crazy shit. Like, there was, for a while, you couldn't get to things through the water because like you couldn't go through by boat. So this kid did 183 helicopter rescues.
That Coast Guard guy,
and it's just
his first mission ever.
Like, I'm just like, dude, what the hell, man? So
good training and motivation and all that. That's awesome. Heroes exist.
They do. So
so that's the so just help where you can, and keep your eye out where you can.
And then I am now going to just try and take us completely off that topic.
Yeah, let's move away.
So I'm going to rant about something too. So while I was doing the research for this episode, the AI blot and gross bloat that is taken over the internet is just, it's so bad. It's already so hard to figure out. I remember when I was a young librarian in library school, and we were worried that Wikipedia was just going to be the downfall of truth and knowledge. And my brain hurt so much from going through and sorting through all the garbage that just pops up and piles onto your search engines, and trying to find hacks and okay, if I do my search results so they only come out for things that were published before 2024, that'll put out some of the, this thing has been going on since 2022, but that still takes out 3 years worth of website.
Yeah.
It's a fucking mess, and it's gross, and the internet's disgusting. Shut it down. We're done. I'm done with it.
Unless you're listening on here on the internet, and then you should like. Not
I will put this over ham fucking radio. Like I will rebuild the goddamn internet in a different way. And like, yeah, I'm gonna make a new internet it's gonna be really slow, and it's gonna be like you can play Oregon Trail on it. And that's about it. But
dial up all the way back to some AOL chat rooms and all that.
Yeah, and we'll talk about some of that in this episode, as they're working on computers in the car and baby and their Wi-Fi. So yeah, sorry, that was my inane way to try and get us off a tragedy. So yeah,
no, I'll take it.
The internet's gross.
The internet is gross. But yeah,
anything else?
No, I mean, let's jump on in.
Okay, so this is, we said, Baby, and it was named Baby because of Baby. And it was season 11, episode 4. And this first aired October 28th, 2015, and was directed by Thomas J. Wright, who taught us what Reichenbach meant in season 10, and also directed The Prisoner, and was written by Robbie Thompson, who did a few things last season, the last of which was Angel Heart. And so we start off with this like close-up pan of Baby's insides.
Mm-hmm. And we see the army man shoved in the ashtray. We see the Sam and Dean's initials. And then we see a broken window and a whole lot of blood and a bloody machete. And we hear a train and an unconscious Dean Winchester handcuffed in the car. That's not good.
Yeah, that's a lot of blood.
A lot of blood. So we cut, that's our intro scene, and we cut right from that, and we have, this episode has a lot of music, I'll note. And I did notice, and I looked, because I don't like read about the episode beforehand, but I usually have things queued up and the giveaway, and I know we'll talk about it, I'm sure I know it's in your notes about how this whole episode centered around Baby. Obviously, the name of it. So it's kind of cool. So Guitar Man by Bread is playing, and we have Dean washing Baby. And we see it all from the inside of being, like, if you're in Baby, washing the car in the bunker 48 hours before he's unconscious in the backseat.
Yes, and I am not sure if I approve of this technique of soaping the windshield. I am not. I would think I would want to use more glass cleaner on that, but that is just me. Then it's a choice, but I'm like, okay, there's a lot of like soap. You're gonna get some spots on that windshield, but all right. And then Sam comes in and wants to know what is up with the shorts. So I think this is implying, because Dean says that it's a free bunker. So I think this implies that Dean is washing Baby in his underwear. And that likely immediately inspired fan fiction about Dean washing Baby in his underwear. When I put that into a search engine, the responses were just too disgusting, even for me. You sick fucks. You fan fiction people are gross. Anyhow, but then Sam grabs a sponge, and they're just lady boners and regular boners, like just popping everywhere, because now the boys are washing the car together, and one of them is in his underwear. At least Sam still has pants on.
It's worse than a bikini motorcycle wash at a...
He's eating some...
at a strip club. Anyways, so they're chatting because Sam has been researching the darkness and Metatron and has found fucking nothing. So, but the good news is that Castiel is improving. He just needs more time to heal. And Dean has fucking cabin fever. So the good news is that Sam has found something that might be a case, but probably isn't. But could be. Could be.
And so also we go from that to Dean spraying down Baby. And so he said that he's washed every car in this bunker garage twice. And I'm very intrigued at this idea of like washing your car inside your garage, which is just, that's seems like a dream. Right? Like, you don't have to leave. Like, you can just spray your car down, like, in your own garage. How fancy is that? But then he leaves and it immediately rains.
Like it does when you wash your car by hand. Very well. Been there. I have been there, sir. Don't look at Duchess in the garage right now. So they are trying to get to right outside of Eugene, Oregon, where Dwayne Markham, the sheriff's body was found mauled, possibly by an animal.
Maybe a werewolf. Also, so Quaker Valley is not a real place, but if you were going to say it's outside of Eugene, that would mean it is about 2 hours and 40 minutes away from the Tillamook factory, which is how Oregon distances should be measured.
It's important information.
I think so.
So Sam reaches back into they've got like they haven't always had this, but they've got a pretty cool like vintage metal cooler in the back seat of the car, and Sam reaches in and pulls out a smoothie that somehow
that is not a smoothie. That is a green juice.
It's a green juice, which I'm now drinking once daily, and I'm like, oh, lovely, you're choking that shit down.
Nothing is worth that. So honestly, I've had some good green smoothies. Just it's about what you balance in it. I'll give you a recipe book. All right. So Cass calls and he's been researching cases around they're going, but he hasn't really found anything. So Cass has taken on kind of this like in the bunker research role while they're on the road.
Sure. And they tell him that he should go relax and watch Netflix.
And he doesn't know what Netflix is. And Sam's just like, go to my room and figure it out. And it's just going to end up with him watching porn.
Oh, gosh. Well,
it's Cass.
They're driving. Yeah, it's true. You're not wrong. It's just, oh, gosh. So they're driving through the night, and Dean decides to pull over at Jimmy's Roadhouse. And Sam is like, WTF, even Swayze wouldn't go here. I want to go find a diner. But Dean's like, no, don't take Swayze's name in vain. By the way, remember Heather the Hunter? She worked that Wendigo case with us. I texted her, but she didn't answer. Like, it's like the weirdest, like, non-story. I'm like, why is this?
Yeah, so if you go through Dean logic, right? I think him and Heather once hooked up at this roadhouse. Probably. So he texted her and was like, hey, baby, like, I know you're working this Rougarou thing in Texas that I heard from somebody else. I'm at this random roadhouse in the middle of nowhere. Do you want to come hear a bone? And then she didn't respond because she was probably like, what the fuck, Dean Winchester? But
and
Sam
And he's like, roadhouse, good times, no matter what.
Yeah. And I'm like, diner fries. Oh, fuck yeah. Like, especially late in the morning. That sounds like a great time to me. Yeah. So Sam goes off to find the diner.
And Dean's going to Roadhouse. So we have the clock clicks through and we have dawn. Do we know what state they were in and what the liquor laws are there? Because that's my question.
They could be in like Nevada, right?
Oh, that's true. Okay, you're right. That'd be passing through. That'd be about right.
If they were going through there, like I'm not sure. I can probably look at it where it's supposed to be, but that's my thought. And I was thinking about this too. Like, I was like, man, it's been a long time since I've left a bar and like walked outside and it was daylight. But at least like he's in the middle of nowhere.
It's been Nevada.
And it's New York too. Like, like in New York where bars close at 5, and if you went and found an after hour bar, like that you were having a time. But anyway, so he says, so he leaves and then he gets in on the driver's side. Mm-hmm. And at first you're just like, what?
No, sir. You just stumbled out of a bar at dawn and got into the driver's seat? No. But he does say immediately mistakes were made.
No.
So, but there's a topless blonde in the back seat riding Sam, apparently.
I don't know if she's riding him.
Not
like,
actively at that moment,
like
but
actively.
It's implied that she may have been.
But yeah, now I'm like, okay, so now baby smells like sex because someone just fucked in the backseat. And I'm sorry, like that smells. So now we have that, plus a Dean Winchester who's been drinking all night.
Oh, it smells like
and she works at a diner,
booze.
Right? So she's got diner, greasy
fry grease, and sex.
Baby smells like so gross right now.
Horrible.
So what do we find about her? So
Piper.
Yeah, Piper, just like Orange is the New Black.
That's funny. And she is putting her uniform back on, but she can't find her hairpin. So she departs. And Dean is pretty impressed with Sam, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of goofy. He just wants to razz him about it. But Dean's going to put in a cassette because he really, really, really needs to listen to Night Moves by Bob Seger.
Yeah, and I also hate this episode because that song started going through my head like as soon as like it came up, and I was like, son of a bitch, it's not going to get out of my head until we're done talking about this. Mm-mm. And so they drive off, and Dean is lip syncing to the song as they drive off.
And Sam sings along too and changes a line to be about his brother's Chevy. It's really cute, actually. And they eat, laugh, and drive. Aww.
Yeah, they stop at Shiny's first Tex-Mex, so now we're adding farts to like the smell of baby.
Or maybe they're just trying to cover up the other 3 smells.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's not getting better. I just don't think that's going to make it any good. So then Dean is like, so digging in the lore is what the kids are calling it these days. And I was like, oh, so I wouldn't say that was the title of Sam's sex tape.
It was. Yeah. So, and Sam's like, by the way, I totally tried to give her my number. And she was like, nah. It's hilarious.
Yep. So, girls are players too. Mm-hmm. So on the screen, it captions that Sam inhales deeply. And I just, as we said, I wouldn't ban.
No.
But also in my notes, so it was like, and so he was like, her name was Piper, and it was nice knowing her. I'm like, and that is how Piper from Orange is the New Black got her start. So Dean thinks that they're just lucky that anybody taps them at all. And I'm like, have you seen you?
Yeah. And finally he's like, you know what, Sam, just go to sleep. Just go to sleep. Because otherwise I'm just going to keep making references to Bob Seger, and it's going to annoy everybody. So Sam decides to take a nap, and we start hearing Someday Soon by Judy Collins playing. And Sam wakes up, it's still night, and he's like, asking about the song, and young John Winchester is now driving baby. And he's like, yeah, your mom loved this song. So now Sam is having a dream, having a vision, something, but young John Winchester is young dad is driving the car now. It's weird.
Yeah. So Sam is freaked out, but John is like, I'm very glad that Dean took care of both baby and Sam.
Mm-hmm. And Sam's like, this is not real. And John's like, yeah, you're kind of right, but okay. And then Sam starts asking him directly and pondering that is if this is tied to when he prayed at the chapel, because he saw those other visions. So who knows? And John's like, I don't know, but here's the message. Darkness is coming and only y'all can stop it.
Yeah. And also during their conversation, we do get some more of this, the Sam versus John stuff, but John is being very kind of positive to Sam. Yeah. And so, and Sam's like, some of this blame is on you. And he is like, yep. And so, but it's just kind of a weird interaction for Sam to traditionally have with John Winchester. Right.
Yeah.
And
not
Sam also rightfully wants a plan of action, not just visions of dead people. If this is how you're helping, please stop helping.
Right.
Tell me what the fuck to do. Don't tell me like a mantra here.
Yeah, and all John's got is God helps those who help themselves. Not helpful. And so Sam wakes up. And Dean hands him a beer.
Which is exactly what I want first thing when I wake up. Like, I'm like, I love waking up in the backseat of a car and getting a warm beer. Oh. And then, Dean has his laptop going, and this is where I was going, like, how is, like, do they don't have, why are they getting a satellite? Like, is he hotspotting? Like, how is he getting Wi-Fi in this car? And then I was like, oh shit, it was 2015 and you could just steal that shit. Oh, I miss Wi-Fi stealing, where you could just, sit in a parking lot and
everyone
just,
had it and you could just sign in.
Just hop onto someone's internet. That's what he would do it. Oh, I miss you.
That's
sad crime. So, and Dean tells Sam that he was singing in his sleep.
Yes. And Sam's like, by the way, you know how you had those visions about the darkness? What were those like? Because I totally just had one, but it was about Dad. But it wasn't really Dad. He was young and he was nice. So it was weird. But he had a message about the darkness. So And maybe...
And he also said that only you and I can stop it. So again, if you have dreams where dead people or deities or other people are telling you are a chosen one, you're in a cult, go to fucking therapy. Like, you are not the chosen one. You were not chosen to do anything. I am sorry.
Except for Harry. Come on now. Harry Potter, the Winchesters. Come on. I'm teasing. Fictional. I'm kidding. So Sam's like, maybe this is a vision from God, because it started after I prayed. And Dean's like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, totally, I was infected, I forgot to tell you that part.
By the way,
yeah, BT dub, I may have had that crazy infection that was like
I just wanted to see what it looks like with the sick tribal brand.
Yeah, I mean, it was easy. And then Dean's like, yeah, maybe this is like a fever dream, not
maybe you're not having a vision, maybe you're not having a direct conversation from God. And then he drops some knowledge that God helps those who help themselves is actually an old proverb that goes back to Aesop's fables. And good on you, Dean. It is mentioned in the fable Hercules and the Wagoner, which is about putting your shoulder to the wheel before you start begging for help. And it was also found in several Greek tragedies and not actually in the Bible, which is kind of interesting. That may come up on Jeopardy one day. So if you win like $1 million for that, like, just let me know.
We'll take
Throw me a 20. Yeah, take me out to dinner.
There we go. Yeah, and so Dean shares, by the way, I dream about Dad all the time. When I dream about Dad, though, I'm driving, he's shotgun, and I'm 16, not a young child, and it's very normal because we're not like hunting monsters, and I'm just learning to drive like a normal teenager. And to get my permit with you in the back seat. And we pull up to the family house. Very normal.
He has very nice dreams about his dad.
Right?
And I'm just like, that sounds lovely. I would like to have those kind of dreams about my father. Like, oh, that's nice. And then Sam's like, well, I have those, but they're about Mom. And so they're all like, now we're just all depressed.
Yeah. And it's like, but I'm sure that was a vision, and like, just like not like the opposite of the darkness, though. Maybe it's not God, but maybe it's something. And Dean's like, nope, the darkness is on us. No one's going to help it. We got to figure it out. And now we're going to go do this hunt. Period. Doesn't want to entertain it. So Sam says, good night, jerk. And Dean says, good night.
Aw, and then they curl their massive bodies up in that car, which I know is a large car, but they are very large men, and they both like curl up like they are in king-size beds and go to sleep.
No.
And we cut from that to them driving, and then in suits outside the sheriff's office.
Yeah, and Sam gets in and Dean's like, okay, the coroner showed me this mauled body, and the heart was missing. And
what else? It was exsanguinated. The blood was drained. So I got an excuse to use the word exsanguinated.
It's a good word. Never mad at you, that one. So Sam's like, is it a werewolf vampire hybrid? What does Dean say?
Werepire.
Sam will not say werepire.
And like, it makes Dean happy. And sometimes you just got to take happy where you can get it. And if you can get happiness in werepire, I say go for it, Dean Winchester. And then the acting sheriff, Deputy Donnelly, comes up to the window. Yeah. Oh, he's giving Sam a report, and then he comes up to the window.
Yeah, and he's just like thanking them for helping out and surprised they're gonna stick around, but tells them about the local motel and how Mel's has the best steak in town.
Yeah, and he's not happy that they're staying. Like, he was just like, oh, cool. Like, glad to see you on your way. Oh, shit, you're staying. Oh, all right. So they go to the steakhouse.
Yeah, Aunt Mel's Steakhouse, which has valet only as an option. And Dean is distraught. Which I kind of get. Like, that, what you do when you're upset about that is you're like, look, can I just park my car? I will pay you for the valet. Just let me park it right there, wherever you want. Yeah. That's what you do, for the record. But he doesn't. So he gives Jessie the keys and tells her to, not a scratch.
Yeah, and so she calls someone and tells them a spider caught a fly, and she goes and she picks up another young woman who silently gets in, and they drive off while MIA plays, and then they do donuts while they film themselves. Then her boss calls, and now she freaks out that she's gonna get fired. Like,
it's so weird.
It's
and her friend lost her purse.
Yeah, so stupid. I do appreciate your sunglasses and your hair down vibe. You remind me of Michelle Trachtenberg, R.I.P. But she's also like, why are you not worried about getting charges for stealing a fucking car? Like, you're worried about getting fired? Like, you stole a fucking car.
And this is like just like a tiny little joyride. Like, it doesn't even seem like, it seems barely worth it. When she says spider caught a fly, you're like, oh fuck, she's gonna steal baby. That's the first thought. But no. She just wants to go do a joyride with her girlfriend. Okay, it's just an odd one.
Not worth it, honey. It's not worth it.
Well, she gets back, and Dean is none the wiser, and compliments and tips her. They leave. But Sam decides he needs to go talk to the sheriff's widow, Lily Markham, and Dean's like, cool, I'll drop you there, and I'm going to go check out the woods, because that crime scene looks super sus. Didn't believe it. And so he goes to the spot, and like they said it was the woods. This is not really the woods. This is like a junkyard on the edge of woods with a bunch of tires piled, right? I mean, it's weird.
Kind of, yeah.
I don't know. While he's there, Castiel calls, and he is very confused about how orange is the new black.
Well, how orange and black are correlating in a new way. And Dean tells him to step away from the Netflix. And it's just like, oh man, imagine a world filled with series you hadn't already binged and more than once. And there's just like, no, all new things.
Well, he thinks that he may have found a creature in lore that may match up with what they're looking for. And he also refuses to say werepire, which is too bad. He thinks it could be a whisper, but Dean tries to like tie that one together too and make another hybrid word. But Castiel's like, Silver should kill it, but decapitate it just in case too. So Dean's like, okay, well, by the way, this crime scene was staged. The body was moved here. And so tell me what else you know about whispers. And as he is asked that, a sheriff's truck pulls up and blocks him in. And our acting sheriff is now going to get out and talk to Dean while Castiel keeps talking on speakerphone inside the car. We see everything from inside the vehicle, talking about how whispers only really active during a solar eclipse. So maybe it's not a whisper after all. And now Dean is fighting the sheriff.
Right. So Sam is buzzing in while this is happening, and Cass starts to give in that maybe it is a werepire, and Dean throws a deputy. Also, during the filming of the scene, Jensen did find the remains of the Impala that was smashed up at the end of season 1, episode 22, Devil's Trap. Devil's Trap. So... so Cass is hearing this from the phone, and he hears this thud, and he's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, he's very distraught. And he shoots the deputy because he has silver bullets in his gun, which is great, but also he does not know that this is not a whisper. He's got his machete, he's decapitating, but this head is still alive, and it is upsetting. I don't like it. I don't like the head being alive after he cuts it off. And so he shoots it the body a bunch more. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
And so he decides that since his head is still alive, he's going to put it in a metal cooler.
Yeah, and then he takes pics of the teeth, and he sends them to Cass to go search the lore for them.
Smile ass hat, I think is his quote there. Gross. Yeah. So... he has observed that Silver definitely slows it down. And he sees also that Sam needs help ASAP. So he calls him, and Sam's like, yeah, I just got jumped. So whatever this is, it's in a fucking pack. And I also learned that Silver slows it down. Ta-da! Coming to the same conclusions in different locations. So, but Sam is still with Mrs. Markham. He's got an address, and Dean's like, cool, let me get the fuck out of here. And we see this machete slide across the floor of the car. which we see it, and I note it because I'm like, oh, they zoomed in on this, so I know it's going to be relevant later.
Probably, yes.
Well, we have Sam and Dean with an unconscious Mrs. Markham in the backseat of the car, and it's just weird.
Yeah, and so Sam is now next to Dean trying to figure out what's going on. And so Cass calls, and he says he has identified the monster as a nachzehrers, a ghoul and a vampire-like creature, so a ghoul-pyre. And Cass tells them that some feed on the blood of the dead, some on hearts of the living. They run in small packs, and you can't really kill them because you know they're dead. So you need to remind them that they're dead. You need a Charon's obal. And Sam's like, duh, everyone knows that in ancient Greece, when someone died, you had to put an obal or a coin in their mouth for currency across the Styx. Mm-hmm. And Cass is like, well, if you put a coin then in a nachzehrers' mouth and then sever their head, it was kill them. And if you kill the alpha, everyone else will go back to human form. So so you need a copper coin, like a penny. And then Sam nerds out because you need a penny made before 1982, because that's when pennies were 95% copper, and now they're only copper plated zinc, or they don't exist anymore.
Are we getting rid of them completely? I don't know.
We are getting rid of them. So there are two subjects that we're going to go into some lore on. First, the nachzehrers, which they remind me overall of a German version of the Native American skinwalkers. And I also think that we have touched on them before because they are shroud munchers. And I do love a good shroud muncher. So they originate from German and Slavic folklore and can be classified as a Wiedergänger, which is a revenant. That is according to Wikipedia and some other things. I'm unaware of this classification system that breaks down nachzehrers and Wiedergängers into some weird complex German art thing, but apparently that's a thing. So the name translates to night consumer because they consume stuff during the night, like, QVC, and they're just shopping all night long and trying to get the best deals. And so
scrolling.
Yeah. And it is probably because it also sounds like something you would call the undead. Oh, you see something comes going towards you, you're like, that's nachzehrers. Like, it fits, right?
It does.
So, yeah. And so what do they consume? Everything, because they are so hungry. While they are in their graves, they eat their shrouds, and if you pass by their graves, you can identify them because you can hear them munching away. So they the shroud ASMR.
I was gonna say, so there's if you walk by a graveyard and you hear munchy noises, that means it's full of them.
Yes, that's just So, and then once they get done eating their shrouds, and they eat themselves, which is also something that skinwalkers do, right? So they eat themselves. Then once they get done eating themselves, then they start draining the life force from their living family members. So if you have DNA, it just goes out, and all of your ancestors will die. And so their appearances are associated with hard times, depression, and plagues. And they come into existence after a person meets an unnatural end when they're very depressed, usually via suicide or sometimes freak accidents. And they do not spread virally, via bite, like a traditional vampire, right? They don't go through a pathogen, you just become one because you're really emo. And, so then you're like, oh, I'm sad. And then you're like, oh no, I can't die. So they have been described looking like a corpse because they're a corpse. And they also don't have a lot of skin because they ate it. And they often have fruit juice mouth because they can't stop gnawing on stuff. And so to prevent a person from becoming a nachzehrers, some Germans put dirt under the dead's chin, or they put a coin or a stone in their mouth, or they also tied the head up with a handkerchief, which I just think is
tie your mouth shut.
It's just this poor muncher's gonna grind their teeth up. But it also just reminds you that it was a cartoon the 40s or 50s, when people would have the handkerchiefs with the ice packs tied around their heads.
Tied very tightly around their face.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
I just also like, okay, it's time to bury Aunt Sally. Hold on. First, we gotta tie her mouth shut.
Yeah.
So to kill, it seems like Kat said, a coin and decapitation. Now, the coin, though, doesn't need to be Charon's obal. Probably not, because that was a Greek thing, and also that was more myth than fact in itself. So Charon, the Greek psychopomp who ferries dead souls across the river Styx, and sometimes he needs to be paid, and so if you don't pay his fee, then you're going to wander around. He's not going to give you a ride. An obal was a low denomination coin said to be used as a payment. So if you believe Greek classical authors, so archaeologists of ancient Greek sites have only found like a limited number of burials that actually use coins. Huh. So there's sort of like a phrase word that comes from this. So it's like, why does like history not agree with what the author said, right? Like, so why does the history fact match up to what the mythic, the literature dude said? Okay. So that was a thing that some people had some problems wrapping their brains around, but I don't. So some of those people where they did find coins, though, they weren't just the cheap ones. There were also some expensive ones. And our final thing, just to combine our fun with German with burial artifacts, there is a thing called a Totenpass. In plural, it's Totenpasse. A less fun way of saying it is an Orphic tablet. And those are metal tablets or leaves that have instructions for how the dead person is to navigate, like all the traps waiting for them in the land of the dead. And it also has the answers for the questions for the underworld judges, which I think is kind of cheating. So on some of them they have found would be like, you will find a spring on your left in Hades Hall, and by it the cypress with its luminous sheen. Do not go near the spring or drink its water. You will find another cold water flowing from Memory's Lake. Its guardians stand before it. And then it tells you like what to say and all this stuff. So they found 2 of those in a burial site in a woman from Thessaly, and she had a gold Danake is a coin that was on her lips, and the face side showed the head of a gorgon, like the face of Medusa, and they had some earthen offerings in there and a bronze thing called a kados, which I think is like an urn, and that had a cremated child inside of it. And there was a second coin, the sarcophagus, which I think was like for the journey of the child, so like maybe it was like her child, it was cremated. There was also a Maenad statue, and so I'm going to make assumption that she was part of the Dionysus cult, because they liked Maenads, and I didn't see anybody tell me otherwise. I'm sure some like Greek historian, I'm gonna say she was from the cult. Isn't that cool though? Like, she just sounds awesome, and I wish I could didn't have to wade through piles of AI crap and could actually find out more about this lovely lady. But my head exploded, and that's where I stopped. So now we can get away from our burial rites. But yeah,
the shroud muncher sounds like an insult.
It does. It sounds like, yeah. Okay.
That's a cool one. I was excited for you to do that, Laura, because I was like, ooh, this will be fun.
Yeah, I wish there was more stuff on it, and there probably is, and it's probably in German.
Yeah, I think here's my question, and you probably know off the top of your head, because I know, like, obviously, they reference it in here, and we've talked about stuff like this before. Obviously, the concept of having the coin to pass it came from Greek culture and literature, not necessarily history, but doesn't that carry over? Aren't there similar concepts in other cultures too, where there's like you need something to pass through?
I mean, so
I feel like I've seen that in other places too.
Yeah, so in Asian, Chinese funerary rites, you have money with which you have so there are various things, but the Greek is very specific about just the coin being on the lip, which is what makes that Charon's obal, like that's, but it is in different things, and it kind of goes in and out. There is like the modern tradition of at veterans' graves of leaving coins, which is like another way that this is just kind of passed down. Although in some places they ask you not to do that because then it goes into the mower and then. So, but yeah, so they have like Victorian times they did it too. It just kind of, it's a cultural thing.
It's interesting.
Some of it can also be a class thing. I was reading, in some of this, it's by saying like you could like I can clearly afford to pay to go across a river Styx. Like,
right. Like, I'm going to show, I want to make sure everybody can see that I can afford
that.
I
have the status. But because it's a lesser thing, like, it's supposed to be that everybody can do it. But again, they said, like, they weren't finding everybody buried with it. So it still could also be a status thing. And that I find that, especially in the Western worlds, a lot of times, like in those burials, it'll, like, the coins will be part of, like, it's to show status.
Got it. I was just curious.
But
so I know you've had spent more time reading on that than I have. So it's something I've observed enough to know that I'm like, I've seen this correlation. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
And we get it as part of our lore today. That's it. Only with pennies that aren't made of copper anymore. So yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna go into Sam's gonna go into the gas and sit.
Yes. And while he is in there, Mrs. Markham wakes up and she is panicking, as you would if you woke up in the backseat of a strange car.
What is this smell?
That it smells terrible. And now adding to the smell is a fucking head in the cooler, keep in mind.
There's a head in a cooler, like there's everything is covered in blood.
It's a mess. It's got to smell so bad now with the blood. It's sunny out. Ew, gross. And blood just has a smell. So she looks inside the cooler and freaks out like you would if you looked inside a cooler and saw an alive head inside of it.
I know Dave's like, that's just my ghoul pyre. Don't you worry about it.
Don't worry about my ghoul pyre.
Maybe I should, maybe not the back seat. Maybe we'll put it in the trunk.
So he does go put it in trunk. Good for him. But she's like, starts rambling about how you would do anything for family, but she's done it wrong. And now she's ruined everything. And she's put her family at risk. And they were right to attack. And this is taking a weird turn.
Where's this story going?
Yeah. But she knows how to make it right. And Sam is still inside, like, flirting with the fucking clerk at the gas and zip. And
do you remember about pennies? Do you know I just fucked a girl in the backseat of a car? Do I smell like sex still? Because I don't think I showered.
Ew. No, because he slept in the car. You're right.
He has not showered. He still smells like that other woman.
But they've changed. Are they changing?
He changed in the front. He put clothes on. I don't know if he changed.
Well, they put their suits on briefly, remember?
Okay, that's true. He has. Okay, so maybe he has showered.
Maybe he at least changed his underwear.
But I have not seen anywhere where they stopped at a motel and showered.
No motel stops on this one. Ew. It's Motel Baby.
He is whore bathed. They have whore bathed.
So either way, he's still flirting, and Lily Markham totally attacks Dean and drags him over into the back seat, and they are beating the fuck out of each other.
They just have a brutal fight.
Yeah. She gets the upper hand, jumps into the driver's seat, and peels out while Sam runs after, shooting at the car.
I don't know if this is a good choice. I mean, he shoots out the windshield.
He shoots the back one this time. He gets the back window this time. That's you're not aiming at things. Like, you're just shooting, like, okay.
Wild. So then we cut to her handcuffing Dean behind his back while she sings creepily about making things right.
Yeah. And it's so weird. And he sees that she is somehow putting the head back on the deputy.
Yeah. So
or the sheriff.
So she's putting him back together. He's like, wait, I shot he did shoot the deputy. It is the deputy, but the deputy is the sheriff. So, she puts him back together. And we also realize now that this is where we started in the beginning of the episode.
The intro. Yes. Because we got the train noises in the background. Dean is looking around through the backseat to figure out what tools he's had. As Baby is getting driven down the road, he can see a machete, he can see a Hello Kitty lunchbox on the floor, and our sheriff is now the driver. And I believe they started calling him Deputy Dumbass somewhere around this time, as an aside. But anyway, so he knows that Dean is awake, and he knows that Dean is a hunter. And Dean's like, cool, well, I know you're a pack leader. Haha.
And the maker.
Yes, because he's like, I thought y'all usually keep a low profile. And he's like, yeah, we usually do, but Lily killed her husband and went a little fucking wild. I don't know if he didn't. And she's like, yeah, if you don't join your food.
People who don't join our food. And that is my next campaign slogan. That'll get people the polls. All right. So Dean is searching between the seats for anything that will help. And he finds Piper's pen.
Yes. And so he's going to start picking his handcuffs because obviously. And our sheriff is like, oh, yeah, Lily's, just like, like all these others. And we weren't going to kill her anyways. She just had to get punished because she fucked up this.
You silly
situation.
Billy. The cult wasn't going to keep you out. We were just going to teach you a lesson. And you just weren't properly trained. And that's on me. As a good cult leader, I should be properly training you how to eat your husband.
Correct. And bury him if he doesn't comply. But our deputy dumbass, aka Sheriff Donnelly, aka whatever you want to call him, with his head sewn back on,
the maker.
Dean's asking him questions because he's like, y'all are supposed to keep it low profile. What the hell's going on? And he's like, yeah, in the last 100 years, I've only turned 3 people, but in the last month, I've turned 16 because I need help. I need to build an army. And why am I building an army, you may ask?
To fight the darkness.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and it's coming for all of us, and there's nothing, any hunters or humans or anything that can stop it. So the monsters are scared.
Yeah, that's a bad sign, I would say.
Yeah, it's usually not good.
Yeah. And our sheriff's like, yeah, you can't stop it either, by the way, bro. But your brother is going to make a nice addition to my little monster army. I sent him a text, and I've got him in a trap. But
he's like, and you would make a good soldier too, but I can't forgive the whole chopping off of my head thing.
Which is fair.
Which is fair. But then they're also like, don't worry, we are nose to tail here, so you will be your brother's first meal.
Gross. But also, I mean, I guess that's good. I don't know. But Dean,
wasteful.
Yeah, Dean has managed to undo his cuffs, obviously, and starts choking our sheriff, and manages to help steer the baby into a water barricade. So, and those are like the plastic barricades that are full of water.
The road barricades.
They're full of water. They're temporary ones. And he manages to pull himself up in the back seat, and it appears he's alone in the car. Lily's just laying down, but our sheriff has flown through the front windshield, and so now there's no front or back glass in this car, which also is super annoying if you didn't know to replace. But anyways,
not to mention to vacuum out all those little fucking pieces of glass.
God, what a pain in the ass. Well, and then apparently our sheriff has a chunk of glass in his face. Super gross. We watch him pull it out. I don't like it. It's upsetting.
Yeah, and so Dean is going through things and trying to figure out. So he finds a machete next to the Hello Kitty bag, and I bet there are drugs in that bag.
Yeah. Well, he of course there are. This is the chick that was working out the friend. Yeah.
That bag is full of weed and ecstasy. So that's what.
But he does manage to find a bunch of coins in the coin purse, and there's pennies in there. And he's not even going to dig through them. He's just going to have a handful of coins. And our sheriff tries to fight him as Lily's awaking, and he gets to fight both. But he does manage to shove an entire handful of change into the sheriff's mouth and then slams his neck in the car door until it pops off.
Yeah, but before he does that, Lily, I started calling her the Widow Pyre. So the Widow Pyre, she tagged into this fight, and she does bite Dean's neck, which goes back to what I said earlier. This is not virally transmitted.
Yes.
But the sheriff is turning people.
That's true.
So how?
And they don't really say.
Right.
And they say that if they're dead, then how are they going to turn back to human? That's my other question.
Yeah. So they go a little off the lore there in order to make this work for the story. So, but I also just appreciate. I think my term Widow Pyre was as good as Dean's vampire. So, So then we get just the decapitation with the door.
It's distressing. Poor baby.
Poor baby.
Poor baby. This whole episode, poor baby. She's stinky. She just got ran into a fucking barricade. She ain't got glass. She got shot.
Baby wants a spa day.
Baby needs a spa day. She started off with a spa day.
Right? She was like 48 hours ago. She said, "This is so good. I'm getting washed." And then she's like, "Oh, we're getting a little sexy time in here." And then it was like, it's all turned. It's all gone horribly wrong.
So wrong.
It's all curdled and gross. So, all right, Dean apologizes to Baby for making her do these horrible things.
Yeah, and Lily wakes up and she's human now, and she's very upset because now she remembers that she is a person and she has killed her husband and she has children somewhere.
Yeah, she's like, did I eat my husband? Oh, yes. Oh dear.
And
did I eat my kids? No, just her. Oh, okay. Is there a card for that?
It's not good. Yeah, Dean's going to go find Sam because in all this, remember Sam was set up in a trap. Well, I guess he doesn't have to worry about a trap now because apparently all these ghoul pyres are no longer fucking ghoul pyres. They're back to being human, but ghoul pyres should have... Anyways, we'll come back on the lore on that in a minute.
So
Baby struggles to start.
Yeah, she's struggling, right? But she does turn over after some tries, and he tells her to hang on, and they turn him around, and they go down the road.
And they get pulled up in this creepy ass series of farmhouses.
They pull into some shacks. They pull into Shackville. They pull into Shantytown.
Why? So creepy. And Sam's standing there with two kids.
This is where the were-panthers in True Blood live, but it's just the Oregon version of them. Okay. So,
I know. Aww. Yeah, and Sam is there with two kids, and Lily goes to the kids, and Sam has also obviously gotten his ass kicked. He is beaten up and bloodied too. They both ease their way back into the car, and Sam has also been informed about the plan to build an army to fight the darkness by courtesy of Deputy
the children.
Yes. And Dean's like, we need to fucking end this now. And Sam's like, you're right, but can we wait till tomorrow and let, both agree to let Cass heal us? Because we look like shit.
No.
So they get back in, and it's cute because Sam refers to Baby as home. Oh.
So sad.
It is.
Because Dean says, let's go home, and Sam pats Baby. It's like, we are home.
And then we get to listen to Night Moves again.
Yeah. So they drive off and they just leave this family. So this family that just got this mom that just ate her husband and has no idea what, they didn't explain to this woman what the fuck happened with Deputy Dumbass, why, he was able to be in the cooler. And so they just drove off and left them.
But they always do that. They always leave people all fucked up.
It's verging on, it's getting really bad, guys. This is a little traumatizing. The last one was bad. This is worse. I think this one's worse than last time. So, all right. So let's talk about
a trail of trauma in their wake.
Just trauma, and also just by not explaining it, right?
Trauma. That's even worse.
I mean, at least with some of the veiny rabid people, there was some explanation of there's an immortal, an giant thing that we don't really understand. It farted, and we think that happened, and so they got some explanation. These people were just bye. Sorry, you ate your husband.
Sucks to be you. Bye. Yeah.
Enjoy that therapy bill, and trying to explain to a therapist that really happened. Enjoy jail.
Right? That's the other layer. Or is there no one to arrest? Because now the deputy, the sheriff deputy dude, he's dead. And the fucking original sheriff, I don't know. They got to bring somebody in. It's weird.
I know the FBI is going to have to come in here and be okay, so law enforcement officer, this is a capital, she's got capital murder.
If this is Texas, the Texas Rangers would be there.
Yeah, the Texas Rangers are coming, but it's Oregon. So
I know. If they was
all right, yeah. So there come a couple of things to say just about the how this was made stuff. But let's talk about who the people were who made the thing.
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
Yeah, we don't have a huge cast in this.
Because they wouldn't fit in Baby.
They wouldn't fit in the car. But our Deputy Donnelly, aka Acting Sheriff, aka Deputy Dumbass, was played by Teach Grant. He's been in episodes of The 4400, Fringe, V, Almost Human, The Flash, Lucifer, Once Upon a Time, Zoo, iZombie, and a handful of Van Helsing episodes. He was also in Henry in It Chapter 2. Lily Markham was played by Sarah Jane Redmond, and she's been in episodes of X-Files, V, Fringe, Arrow, Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, Almost Human, iZombie, Unreal, The Good Doctor, and Fall of the House of Usher, which I keep meaning to watch. She was Tibby's mother in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, Nell in Smallville, which was about a dozen episodes, Mrs. Kemper in The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which was a handful of episodes, and Elaine in Siren, which is a couple of dozen episodes.
Woo.
Yeah.
All right, so as you kind of mentioned earlier, there was, if you didn't notice, there was no score for this episode. Mm-hmm. So all the music is what is called diegetic. And it was either coming from so all the music either came from an outside source or it came from the Impala's cassette deck. And so all the scenes for the episode involving that cassette deck were from Swan Song in season 5, episode 22, which is also where all the things in the beginning, what we saw, like the army men and all that stuff, was from that.
Yeah.
So one of the cars they used was a cutaway. So the roof, the front, the back, and the doors could all come off, and they could even remove the floor. And the picture car coordinator, Jeff Budnick, said for Nerdist, there are a lot of shots in the episode that are like that. So how did they get that shot? Most likely that's the kind of car we used. And he said it was the busiest show they've done in 11 years. They had all 8 cars working and wrecking them. A lot of stuff we had to build before the crash, so they had to figure out what the damage was the crash was going to do, and then like crash it to make it look like it. So it was a lot of taking cars apart and then putting them back together. And they said it turned out really good. 5 of the cars had to receive new headliners because the cameras ripped through the existing ones, and then it was just a lot of work to get them back to normal. Jensen Ackles said just where the cameras were also making it kind of difficult. And so what was really weird is when I would have a full camera rig, because they take the windshield out and they would just mount a big camera right on the hood, and it was probably this close from my face while I'm driving on an actual road and I'm driving a real car, and I had real live passengers, and basically my focal point is completely gone. So I'm using peripheral vision to drive the car. And they said, and this is where Padalecki jumped in and joked that Ackles was also using the screaming of passerby to navigate the car. So
that would be hard. Yeah. I was wondering about that because I was like, that makes sense, because if you think about some of those shots, they're all really tight shots.
Yeah, they're not all green screen, right? Like they're not just like where they're sitting in the car, like people can't see me doing my but where you're pretending to drive, right? Some of them he's actually driving with a camera, and like that's just nutso.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. So leave it to Supernatural to be like, why don't we shoot an entire car from the POV of Baby? And they did, and it was cool.
It was cool.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a really neat approach, and they were able to tell a really good story from an interesting perspective, and yeah, I liked it.
All right.
But I also was sad about the damage that Baby sustained, because obviously I'm sad.
It is, but we also know that in Miracle, Supernatural land, your Impala is regenerating by itself, and it's like a starfish, and you break things, and they just grow back. They just fix. This happens in the garage of the bunker. Just grows back.
They must have a really good glass supply there,
right? And tires. Oh my God, so many tires.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and oil. Oh my God, how much oil does Baby take?
Probably a lot. And also, old cars burn a little. They all either burn a little bit or leak a little bit on an old car. That's just how it goes.
Oh, just like you're driving her so much. Like this is like the Exxon Valdez has gone through
road
Baby.
Trip after road trip. Yeah, all road trips all the time.
Yeah, she broke down like it was like on every hunt.
Right. Yes.
That's what having an old car is really like.
Y'all, for real.
In my house. All right. So to echo the words that he said in this episode, I think we'll end it. So cheers, jerk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios podcast network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.